Throughout this journey so far, what would you say has been your greatest challenge?
That's a good one.
What advice would you give to somebody looking to build their first app?
Many people say that you should do something that you love. I don't really agree with that.
What's your team look like today?
At the moment, there's myself, one other full-time employee, and then we have some consultants who kind of come in and out. We can scale to probably somewhere in the region of $1 million ARR.
Today we are on the Kuiper Media Show with Liam Jones. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you could take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. Really great to meet you guys. So like you say, my name's Liam Jones. I'm the founder of a business called Pilla, Pilla. And we have produced a team management app. So it's essentially a teamwork app for deskless teams, essentially.
That's great. We're super excited to hear more about it. What made you come up with the idea?
So, I mean, I'm basically sort of a manager by trade, which is quite weird when you think about it. So I sort of left university and went into a graduate program to be a manager when I was 21, and basically was a manager of different organizations, different teams, different team types, different sizes, different industries for a decade or more, probably 15 years. And I just kept basically coming across the same issues, especially when it comes to deskless teams or mobile teams, or however you kind of want to classify that. It's just really hard to make consistent teams. It's really hard to get teams who you don't have a physical contact with to turn up on time every day and do the right things at the right time. It's very difficult. So I'm not from a tech background. I've had to sort of learn the tech bit. I'm sort of from the management side of things, and I had these ideas for many years, which I sort of wanted to put into play. And I had a consultancy, and I was managing to have sort of a bit of an impact on the businesses who I was working with in my area, that type of thing. But I always wanted to have a bigger impact. So technology is the way to do that, right?
Of course. So you said you've had this idea for a while. How long have you been working on it?
We've been actually coding for just over 2 years, I'd say, probably. But the ideas themselves we've implemented in different ways through, over the last 5 or 6 years through a consultancy. We've had different products which we kind of tested a lot of our ideas on. So our very first product, for example, was for the hospitality industry, and it was a physical wire-bound booklet that we used to custom made that we sent out to hospitality venues, completely bespoke for them. So if you think about like a task management app in its simplest form, we put that on paper sort of 7 years ago when we sent that out to hospitality businesses, and it worked really well in that industry. And it allowed us to test a lot of things as well. So yeah, we've probably been, this has been in my head for 10 years, and we've been coding for about 2, I'd say.
That's excellent. How'd you come up with the name? It's not always easy to come up with a business name. How'd you come up with the name?
We paid the consultant too much money, is the answer to that.
Okay. Awesome.
At the time we were working with sort of a branding consultancy, which I wouldn't recommend, but that's probably another story. And they basically come up with the name. The name so the idea is essentially that the app is supposed to be the thing that employers can rely on to get things done correctly, right? So pillar, as in sort of a pillar of the business, is kind of where we went with that, and we just basically took the R off the end to make it a bit cooler. That's basically what happened.
And then what's your team look like today? How many
Uh,
do you have employees? Are you outsourcing? Like, could you help the audience understand what's the best way hiring, using some employees that could be more like co-working employees as well?
yeah, sure. So for us, we want to remain really lean. At the moment, there's myself, one other full-time employee, and then we have some consultants who kind of come in and out whenever we need them for sort of little projects here and there, really. We have about 5 of those. And you know, at the moment that really works for us. We could probably, you know, we can scale to probably somewhere in the region of 1 million ARR with that, we think. That has greatly changed over the last 18 to 24 months with the incoming AI software and technology. You know, I don't think this would have been possible even when we started a few years ago, really, because everything was so laborious back then. You know, I remember paying staff, um, you know, their time basically to just sit and go through websites and pull data off websites. Whereas now you can just do that, you know, in minutes or seconds with AI, just as a really simple example. So I think if anybody's starting a tech business now, it's so cheap and so easy to get started. And it's, you know, it can just literally be yourself, you know, and your MacBook and your phone, and I think you can reach a really respectable amount of revenue just with a really small team like that. We've just basically brought some consultants with us from our journey, and because it's quite a technical product, we have a lot of industry specific templates which are relied on, things to do with compliance and things like that. So that tends to be where we use a lot of our consultants rather than our operations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of this project, how were you funding it? Was it just out of pocket? Did you guys get investors, or how did it happen in the beginning?
We're primarily self-funded. I mean, you know, I would class us as a bootstrap business. We started as a consultancy, as I mentioned, with a couple of other sort of products, and so we self-funded through that. We did go to try to raise some money. So I spent, I'd say probably about 3 years ago, I spent probably about 6 months trying to raise some money. Probably spent, you know, 3 to 4 hours every day trying to raise some money. We tried various different things. We tried some of your some of your typical angel communities. We tried a couple of VCs, but for us, we certainly at that time we couldn't present a business plan that was VC worthy, you know, because
Hmm.
obviously they're only interested in, you know, huge businesses. Um, and we tried some community things as well, and the community thing really worked for us. So we managed to raise around 40K from customers, actually. So customers that were already using the product. Um, and the target was to get a little bit more, but that was sort of all we could get at the time. It was a very difficult, I will just say it was a very difficult time then as well, because we were sort of right in the middle of COVID. And we were pretty much exclusively working with the hospitality industry, which was completely on its knees. So it was you had a lot of challenges trying to raise money and sort of get people to buy into this industry, which, you know, wasn't doing very well. But what I will say is it's actually been a blessing in disguise, because it has made our early few years more difficult because we didn't have the capital. However, as a founder, you know, speaking purely from a selfish point of view for a second, I'm now in a position where I've given away hardly any equity, and we are in the place where we are. Maybe, you know, we've taken 18 months, 2 years longer to get here, but we've got many more options available to us now.
So staying on the funding for your app, because
Yeah.
that's very interesting. And are you still looking for funding? So we want to make sure our investor audience, you know, our listeners that are out there, just want to see, is that something that you're still looking into, is funding?
Yeah, sure. So we haven't, I mean, I'm a very open-minded person, and I'm open-minded with the business. We haven't raised anything in 2 years. We just had that initial sort of seed funding, let's call it. I'm not sure when this will go out, but we're sort of recording first week in December. So we are just about to launch our product. We're about to come out of waitlist as at the time of recording. We've got a really healthy waitlist. We're getting a lot of leads through the website, which is great. We've got a great product which has been, you know, made with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So at this moment in time, I wouldn't actually say we need any funding. What we need to do is get the product out into the world, get a significant amount of users. And what we could do then, if we wanted to, is we could go back into the funding market and we could say, hey, look, you know, we're now doing 40, 50, 60,000 pounds a month, really strong, proven business model. And that's a better conversation to have. If for argument's sake, we didn't have all those leads coming in, or if we couldn't get the product over the line, or any of those sort of things, then maybe we would need more money. But you know, we're in a good position at the moment. So
That's excellent. That's
yeah,
excellent.
So, throughout this journey so far, what would you say has been your greatest challenge?
that's a good one. Yeah, because there's been lots of little ones for sure. Um, I think probably the biggest challenge is probably getting the right expertise. I think it's a great question to ask me after what we've just been speaking about, because the biggest challenge for us was the fact that I couldn't, or we didn't raise any money. Not that I couldn't. We probably didn't raise as much money as we wanted to. But the other side to that is I also struggled to get a co-founder. So around about the same time, I was actually looking for somebody to come in with complementary skills to mine, which was the technical side at the time. Um, and I just couldn't really find anybody who I wanted to bring in, or anybody who wanted to come in, and nobody really matched. So I think from a personal point of view, it's just been the sheer workload. Quite frankly, it's just the amount of things that have to be done in a startup as a solo founder is yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And I certainly wouldn't want to put anybody off, because the great thing about the start of a journey like this is you don't know how hard it's going to be. So just jump in.
Of
It's
course.
easy now to look back, right, and say, oh, how did I manage all that, or I wouldn't do it again, or whatever. But you have that naivety, especially as a first-time founder, or when you've got like a really exciting project that you're enthused about. You kind of have that blind naivety where you just go all in, and I think you need that. But you're asking me the question, what is particularly hard? It's just the workload.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because I think that's one of the things that all founders definitely need to realize is if you believe in your product, go all in. Like, make it happen. It's going to consume your time, but in the end, if you believe in your product, the reward's going to pay out. And
Yeah,
you brought up something really interesting that I really want to, get out to everyone, is that you were able to raise funds from early adopters. So
yeah,
I think that's really important, that if you're early adopters, and when you're searching for funding, if you're able to get somebody to use your product early and then reward them too by saying, hey, I see that you like the product. How would you like to invest in the product? I think that could be another avenue that a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about, is get it from your early adopters as well.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. So whenever you're raising money, I think the first place, or something I've learned, is just go and find out who's going to have a vested interest in it. I think that's really important.
I want to really get more into the AI. You brought
Hmm.
up AI and how it is time saving right now. What have you found the best right now, even speeding up your time for development or doing research? What's some of the best tools, if there are tools, or just resources that you found with the AI in the technology?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different um, types of operations, I guess, within a business like ours. So we've got the product side, we've got the development side, and I think that's pretty obvious where the gains are. At this very moment in time, LLMs, one of the things that has turned out to be the case, or one of the best things or abilities that LLMs have, is coding. It's really well documented. So when we first started, that wasn't the case. So we can code so much faster now using some of the great models that are out there. There's lots to choose from, and there's more coming out all of the time. We use Cursor internally, which is a great IDE tool. Uh, on the model side, we mostly use Cursor's own model, which is Composer One. We really like Composer One. It's really quick, and it's not the most accurate, but it's up there. It's quite accurate. Um, so that's on the product side. I mean, the other side is sort of the marketing side generally, or the operations side. So we're quite fortunate in the sense that our product is well searched for in its templates. So, I mean, I'll just take the first industry which we started dealing with, and one that I know really well, which is hospitality. And there are lots of jobs to be done within hospitality, and they're all quite well searched. You know, fridge temperatures, various risk assessments, um, team meetings, all these type of things. They're all really well searched because it's a big industry, and there's a lot of new people going into the industry as well, so they don't know how to do these things, so they're searching for them. So we identified quite early on that search was going to be an organic, if you want to call it organic, was going to be a really big channel for us, and AI has been great in that. AI can help us to create articles so much faster. It can create templates for us so much faster. It can spell check so much faster. We can sort of go through and improve and improvise and renew all of our articles a lot faster. So we've got about 3,500 articles at the moment on the website. The plan between now and the end of 2026, so just over 12 months, is to add another 20. So we want to have about 25,000 articles. And we're basically just going really hard on long tail questions that people in our industries ask. Um, that is only possible with AI. Well, it's not, because other companies have done it in the past, but these companies have raised hundreds of millions, right? So
Right.
for a company who doesn't want to or cannot raise hundreds of millions, the only way to do that is with AI, and you can do that really, really professionally and really sort of in a way which will really resonate with customers. So twofold to answer your question is, on the product side, 100%, you know, coding is so much easier, so much faster with AI, but I think that's a bit more obvious than on the marketing side, you know. And I think the other thing I would say on the marketing side as well is there are lots and lots of things that people could be doing, little small ideas that would incrementally improve the marketing with their business. But up until this point, they haven't been able to do them because that incremental gain is outweighed by the amount of time that it would have taken previously, if that makes sense. So
Totally.
going through all of your pages and just sort of, for example, adding like a summary paragraph, which would be really well received by Google Overview or something like that. That just wouldn't have been possible sort of a few years ago, but you know, it's really possible now. So my advice to people would just be, what are the really small incremental pieces of marketing gain that you can make now? Because they're not going to take you that long.
Yeah. So that's really smart the way you guys are using AI. Um, Continuing on marketing, would you say the articles that you're getting written is your main source of traffic to Pilla?
It is at the moment, 100%. Yeah, 100%. So because we're focusing on that long tail, we're finding that we're doing quite well with the AI models such as ChatGPT, because everybody's input into these models is long tail. So generally speaking, or historically speaking, when people have used Google, we all just put 2 words in, don't we, at most? We basically put the keyword in, don't we? But when we use ChatGPT or something similar, we write a whole paragraph, we give it all the context, we give it a background, we tell it exactly what we're looking for, why we're looking for it, etc. So for any of your audience who's not familiar, what an LLM model will generally do with that, I think it's called fanning or something like, it's either called spread or fanning or something. Maybe you could do a bit of research on that. But what it basically does is it takes that um, phrase, that input that you've put in, and it will basically create hundreds of separate searches. And
Mm.
ChatGPT will use Bing, and it will basically create lots of long tail queries, and then it will basically use Bing to go through to a website. like ours, for example. So some of these searches, for example, I'll give you one example. One of our best performing FAQ pages is titled, "I have just arrived on site in the morning and my fridge is above 8 degrees. What should I do?" So that is really long tail, really
Right.
specific,
Yeah,
and we've got a whole page on that.
Wow.
that's interesting. That's great. So you're using AI to write all your content?
Not the money pages, but all of these, or product pages, maybe I should say, but all of these sort of FAQ pages and the blogs and things like that, we pretty much do, yeah. I should caveat as well, with a human in the loop.
Yeah.
So we're not basically just press and go on this and then 3,000 pages later, it's we check it for the
So
first
you have
time.
another set of eyes looking at it and
Yeah, yeah,
correcting
exactly.
anything that needs to be corrected. So that's important to know. Something interesting you brought up is the wait list. Would you
Yeah.
recommend running a wait list if you're creating an app, or is it just something that you guys came up with that to offer a wait list?
No, we didn't. We definitely didn't come up with that idea. I would definitely recommend it though. A lot of people do use a wait list. Um, you need to make sure you've got a way to get eyeballs on that wait list. So, I've seen a lot of people throw up a wait list on their website or wherever they do it on the landing page somewhere, and then they just kind of walk away and they go, they say job done. That's literally the start. So you need to make sure that you've got a wait list and you've got a way to drive traffic to that. Now we were quite proactive in the sense that we've been doing SEO for 18 months, so we already had the traffic. So when we put our wait list up for the app, sort of, I think it was about 6 months ago, something like that, we already had a lot of that traffic there. But it doesn't have to be SEO. If you've got a great social presence or a great Reddit presence, or you've got a YouTube channel, or you have a big podcast like this one's going to be in the future, then that's another way of doing it. But as long as you've got somewhere to some way to send people to a wait list, I would 100% recommend it. And I'd actually recommend it for two reasons as well, because a lot of people think the point of a wait list is to get leads, and it is that is a good point of a wait list. But I think an even better use case for a wait list is to validate your idea before you go too far. So
Smart.
if I've got an idea for a brand new app today, I'm going to start a wait list tomorrow, and then if I get 100 people on that wait list within a month or whatever I've decided is going to be my validation metric, that's when I'll start building it.
Yeah, that really makes sense. What I'd like to know about the app too is uh, what country right now is the app in, and then are you looking to expand, excuse me, globally?
You could say we're global at the moment, to be honest with you. So we've basically had about 60 design clients over the last 18 months, let's say. Um, they are all in the UK, um, and they've been a brilliant people to work with. They basically helped us shape the app, which has been fantastic. They've been our early adopters, which has been brilliant. And sorry, but the wait list is global. So 60% of our wait list um, is in the US already. I'd say probably 30% is probably in the UK, and then probably the remaining 10 to 15% is spread across different countries. So the US I think it's probably safe to say will be our biggest market.
That's phenomenal.
Wow. So, what's like your guys' monetization strategy? How you have all the people on the wait list? How are you gonna turn these users into customers, paying customers?
Yeah. So we've been sending people on the wait list some warm-up emails just to keep people interested. Some of them have been on the wait list for a couple of months. So it is a challenge to keep these guys really interested and sort of engaged in what you're doing. So I don't expect all of these people to have not found the solution in between now and then. But we have had some good interactions with people on the wait list. It's basically just sending them an email, and that they always come from me. So we try to keep it as personable as possible. And it's just a case of, hi, I'm Liam, I'm the founder. This is what we're up to. We've decided on this new feature. And just keeping them in the loop, basically. The monetization, which, to answer your question, is it's essentially a subscription. It's a SaaS product. We Everything that we do, so our whole philosophy is keeping things really simple, really, really simple. The whole point of the app is how simply can we get your teams to do the right thing at the right time. So we want everything to kind of be within that sort of thesis or mantra. So we have one pricing plan. The first user is free. After that, it's £1.95 per user, or that £1.95 would be translated into your local currency because we use Stripe. So it's probably about $2.30, probably something like that. $2.30. And that's it. It's that simple. There's no decision fatigue. You land on the pricing page. Does it look for you? Can you afford that? Do you think that you're going to get your return on investment for that amount of money? Yes or no? That's it. I absolutely, there's been lots of times where I've gone onto websites, and I've gone to the product page and I've said to myself, I think that this is for me. But then I've gone to the pricing page and I've just been confused and I've left.
I'm sure that's to a lot of people as well. If the paywall's not optimized for them, they're just going to leave.
Exactly.
What for the audience? What would you say is the best? Or have you done research, or did you just go right to Stripe for the taking payment? Or have you looked at other payment processors as well?
Good question. Not deeply. We haven't looked deeply. I know that some of them exist. Paddle, there's a few other ones as well. I mean, we decided on Stripe many months ago, so I couldn't tell you why exactly we did. I think it's probably the cheapest because I think a lot of these other ones use Stripe under the hood. So they'll basically, you basically will, if you use something, like there's one I recently saw online, and I can't quite remember the name. I'll see if I can find it for you later, but it's a great developer first one. But they basically just use Stripe under the hood, so that if you end up using that piece of software, you basically pay your Stripe fees, and then you pay an extra 1% or 1.5% to basically use the architecture that they built on top of Stripe. And maybe you might need those features. There might be some other features there, like this particular one I'm talking about is really good for LLM usage, for example. So if you have a lot of AI token usage within your application, this particular thing is, I think it's called Plaid or Plaid or something. Anyway, I can't remember. It's really good for recording that token usage, and it'll probably take a lot of that off you, but you could do all that yourself in your code. So to answer your question in the short way, I think Stripe is the cheapest.
So are you taking all your payment on your website, or do you have in-app purchases as well?
We don't have in-app purchases. We just use Stripe Direct because you can't charge by user within in-app purchases.
And that's probably smart because then you don't need to pay for Apple's fee as well.
Yeah, I don't expect this to be the case forever with Apple. To be frank, Apple's built as a consumer platform and interface. It's not built for B2B, and I can't believe that they haven't actually updated their architecture to be more business friendly. And I don't expect it to be that much longer before they start knocking on doors like ours and saying, you need to give me some of this revenue. But at the moment, we wouldn't be able to use in-app purchases to charge the way that we charge, because when an employer adds a new user within our application, we basically just send that information to the Stripe API. There's nowhere to send that within Apple. We can't send that information anywhere. So, like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if Apple does change that.
What does it look like for the next 12 months? What would you be happy with?
Good question. So hopefully by the time this comes out, the application will be live, or will certainly be on the cusp of it being live, migrating from the wait list. Um, we we're looking for, so obviously we have a business plan for the next 12, 24, 5 months, 5 years. I'm a bit of a controversial figure when it comes to planning. I tend to plan no more than 3 months in advance. So many people will plan years in advance. I'm kind of the opinion that for a seed company, the vast majority of it's pointless. You'll spend days or weeks creating this mega 10-year, 5-year plan, and 1% of it will actually be true. So for me, what I like to do personally is I like to make a 12-month plan, and just review it every quarter. But which means really I'm only ever going sort of one quarter at a time. So for Q1 next year, it would be, you know, reach, well, I can't quite remember what we've said on business plan, but let's say for argument's sake, it's take on 50 new businesses every month. We would review that at the end of March. Have we achieved that? Do we need to bring that down? Do we need to bring that up? I think for a company of our size, that's kind of the best way to plan.
And what do you see for your ideal customer? Is it one to as many as you want? Is there a sweet spot range for the app?
So it will be appealing mostly to small and medium-sized businesses. So we do have some competitors in the space who are clearly built for the enterprise. Um, I don't mind saying who they are. So there's one called Connect Team. They're a massive one in America. We do have some in the UK and other places as well. They're clearly built for the enterprise, although they try to sort of squeeze their product into small businesses as well. Um, However, for us, we're going to start at the smaller end, and maybe we'll make our way up to the enterprise in years to come. But we want to make sure that we never kind of lose the simplicity um, that small businesses want. Small and medium-sized businesses, they just want pick up and play. They haven't got the resources to be spending weeks customizing an app. So I would say sort of between one user and let's say 250 users. That's probably per company is probably our sweet spot. Although there would be no reason bigger companies couldn't use it. They just wouldn't get the level of customization that they would get with an enterprise solution.
That's great. What advice would you give to somebody looking to build their first app?
Whew. So many people say that you should do something that you love. I don't really agree with that. I think you don't have to love what you do. I think you have to be extremely knowledgeable about the problem that you're solving. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
There are many ways to do things, right? So,
No.
but in my experience, the more in touch you are with the problem that you are solving, or the challenge, or the value add, or however you want to sort of call that, I think you've got more chance of success. So, for example, I love photography. That's my biggest hobby. I love to go out with my camera. I love to go traveling. I love me and my wife go as many places as we can. I would love to start a travel photography app or something along those lines. Um, but I'm not, first of all, I don't really know what the problem is that I would be solving, and I'm not super in touch with the problem. I don't really experience the problem. I get my camera out probably 3 times a year, 4 times a year.
Right.
I grew up as, or I guess my whole career has been in management. I've seen the problems. I understand them in detail. So for me, it was really easy to put my finger on what I think the solution might be there. I might be wrong. My solution might not be correct. However, I've got a strong opinion about what I think the solution should be.
No, that's very helpful and transparent. I think that's what we want to be is letting that first time app developer that's sitting there and saying, should I do this? And we want to be able to help them with our community, right, and our resources to say, yeah, give it a shot, make it happen. And maybe it is doing a wait list and seeing how many people sign up, and then you got something proven that you can move forward from there.
Yeah. I
Rezo,
would
any
say,
other questions? Oh, go ahead.
oh no, sorry, I was just going to say, I think there's probably two ways of, just to clarify what I was saying, there's probably two ways of thinking about it. It's either solve a problem for yourself. So if you're experiencing something in your business or personal life again and again and again, and you can't find a solution somewhere, then try and solve that. Or if you think you've already solved something, or you've got like a unfair advantage in something else, like we had in our consultancy, for example, then you could transfer that into an app. So there's kind of two ways of approaching the same thing, really. You either know the problem in depth because you have the problem, or you kind of have the solution to a problem in another way. Like that's not technology, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Lorenzo, any questions that you have?
No, that's great insight, and I'm sure our listeners are going to really appreciate it.
You're so
So,
welcome.
Liam, how do our listeners find you? How do they find Liam Jones, and then how do they find Pilla as well?
Sure. So I'll share my links with you. But the best way to find out more about Pilla is to go onto our website, which is yourpilla.com. Either join the waitlist or download the app, depending on when this comes out. Give it a try. The first user is free, so you can have a full exploration of the app without having to pay anything. You only pay anything if you want to add users in your teams later. And I've got a personal website which I'll share with you as well, where you can sort of read about other things, other mini projects that we've got going on and things like that as well.
Well, listen, we really enjoyed you on the show. We could continue talking to you all day with your insight. What we would definitely like to do is, have you back on the show later, get a follow up to see how the app is doing and where you're
Sure.
at, and have you on as a future guest, as now that you're a friend of the show. So we greatly appreciate that. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Is there something we like to do for the show? Is there anything for that first time app developer or somebody else out there that if they wanted to get in touch with you to ask you a question, or if there was something with the app that if you wanted to get another early adopter, that you would be willing to do something here for the show?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a millennial. I'm an old school guy. So you can email me. That's, I don't really do social media, although I definitely should. So I'll provide my email if anyone's got any questions, or they want to just sort of shoot an idea past me or anything along those lines. Then just shoot me an email. I'm really happy to help with anything along those lines. If anybody in the audience is running a mobile or a deskless team in hospitality or retail or construction or healthcare, anything like that, and they want us, give it a shot, then we'll do an extended trial of 10 users. So we'll do 10 users for 3 months for your audience, and they can have a good go at the app and see what they think.
That's
Thank you.
phenomenal. We appreciate you doing that. So please follow Kuiper Media. Please follow Liam Jones and look for Pilla. It's definitely out there as going to be, and I could see this, a staple in the hospitality management. So thank you so much for your time today, Liam.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on, and good luck with the show. I'm sure it's going to go fantastic. I'll follow along. I'm sure I'll be able to learn a lot from your future guests as well. So good luck with it.
Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys.
Do you want an AI ad for your business?
Kuiper Media makes ads just like this.
Book a free call with us
from the link bellow